What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So we are going to go through my blood works results from post-prep, so utilizing anabolic steroids. So we did a prep and finished a show in September 2022. So we did these around about 8 weeks post-show to see where we are after our health markers from using steroids. So we're going to run through everything so you have a bit of an understanding and education around what we are going to do to rectify anything like that, and give you a bit of an understanding and education of what each part is as well. So we'll start off with red blood cells. So this is normally going to be higher based on when you use anabolics. You're going to be allowing the body to produce a lot more red blood than normal. So for instance, my hematocrit is on a higher end of scale. We're going to nearly 0.6. So this will be because I am producing too much blood. So we need to basically bloodlet or donate blood to pull that level back down to the normal range. If you allow that to stay too high, you basically produce too much blood, and that can then create blood clotting. So by blood clotting as well, that then can cause a lot of issues to you as well, which you do not want. Go into white blood cells. So white blood cells are basically, they will only ever be in the red if you have been previously ill or sick or something like that. They will always stay in the green zone. Clotting status will obviously be a little bit higher on this one simply because of our hematocrit. So again, once we bloodlet, that will pull back down and that will be in the normal range. Kidney health, so creatinine is slightly above on this bit, which is normally not a bad position because it is normally about how much creatine stores into the muscles and stuff like that. Creatine or creatinine is basically the breakdown of muscle tissue, which is always going to be out of range. Now with the kidney health, this is probably an indication that we ate a healthy, rich protein meal before we had the blood works, which will indicate why it's slightly high or something like that. There is another version which we'll see just slightly on, which is creatine kinase, which is the breakdown of muscle tissue. Now this is always going to be in the red zone. If we actually scroll down, we will see it's a muscle health creatine kinase. You can see it's 790 over, which is the normal range is 308 at the max. So this is always going to be way above the scale. It's never going to be in the green zone if you are a bodybuilder or someone who trains. Simply because if you are a bodybuilder, naturally or enhanced, you have a lot of larger muscle tissue, which is being broken down a lot more frequently than the average person. So therefore, it is going to be out of range and a lot higher. It's not going to say that you're going to die or anything like that. It's a completely normal thing, and there's nothing you can do to rectify that to be the green zone. It just basically says that you are a person with more muscle tissue that is breaking down more frequently. Liver health. So in this one, the ALT would indicate of utilizing orals recently, which will obviously be on the high zone. So we have used orals obviously going through a prep, so fat burners and T4s, T3s, that type of stuff. So my ALT will be above. Now it can also be an indication of low level of omega-3s or fatty acids. Now with me being vegetarian as well, I cannot get my natural sources through salmons or cods or any sort of fishes to get my natural fatty acids. So I have to utilize a supplement called omega-3, which is a vegan capsule, because of course normal cod liver is obviously fish oil, which I cannot have either. And normally the capsules are gelatin as well, but again, another substance I cannot contain. Going through the rest of things, so normally diabetes and all that will be in a good range unless you have been absolutely smashing the living hell out of carbohydrates. But that would be the only reason why it's going above high levels, but it's very rare to see that go into the red zone. In terms of cholesterol status, so my HDL cholesterol, you can see is actually on the low side of things, which is normally going to be because of types of foods that you eat as well. So with mine being on the low side, I am going to basically have to swap out things like cheeses that are processed and go to more like healthier fats, so like avocados, sesame seed oils, nuts, peanut butters, nut butters, all that type of stuff, good stuff as well. Another reason why your LDL or something like that could be, or HDL, sorry, could be low would be also be due to raised testosterone levels, which then can bring down that HDL cholesterol a little bit as well. So obviously utilizing steroids, mainly using testosterone as our main compound, yes, of course, it's going to be a little bit lower as well. And we've already covered creatine kinase earlier on. Iron status, again, this would only be in the red zone if your types of foods that you are eating is not rich in iron or anything like that. You can counteract it with just a simple iron or magnesium, well, normally it's iron and magnesium supplementation that will bring that back up. So thyroid hormones, so you can see here my TSH is above, which shows that it's overactive. Now, when it comes to prep, you will utilize some thyroid drugs, so like T3 or T4, depending on which ones you need. You would use those in the back end of prep when calories get low, because your thyroid is going to basically, the output's going to start, going lower, and it's not going to basically function right. So if your thyroid becomes underactive, which would mean lower on the scale, would mean that you are going to struggle to lose weight. If it's overactive, which is what you can see mine is, it's going to say that I'm going to struggle to gain weight. So you would need to basically put it in a counter, which will be a T3 or T4. Now T3 is the Turkish base, whereas the T4 is the UK based type thyroid hormone. So we have opted in for a T4, and you would run that at a certain milligram dosage to basically bring up your thyroid to be in the normal range and be fully functioning again. And the last ones realistically is the hormones, so your estrogen and also your testosterone as well. So you can see mine is in the good range. In terms of this, normally when you come out of it depends on when you do it or what part of your blood works you do this. If you're doing it whilst you're doing a blast, obviously you will see your testosterone a little bit higher, and you will obviously see your estrogens probably a little bit higher as well. Or depending on how your cycle is looking, those numbers will differ based on what you're doing. However, we can see in my one, we come out of post-prep, we were on a TRT phase, which will then bring down my testosterone down to the normal range, which was slightly a little bit odd comparison to what milligram we was using for a TRT. So you would normally see it to be a little bit higher than the 29. However, this would indicate that the type of laboratory that we was using was a little bit under on their dosage that they had provided us. So therefore, in other terms, bunked gear. So therefore, that shows us that our testosterone is a little bit under it's in the good range, but it's on the lower side of things for where we should have been. So it just shows that changing over to a different laboratory would be mandatory if we were looking at obviously going into a blast, because obviously that gear is not going to really function very well. So that's kind of everything in our blood works. We haven't covered everything as much as we could do. However, if you guys want to see a little bit more in terms of anything a bit more specific in blood works, then please do write down a comment down below, and we will make sure to do another video on that, going over a little bit more of our blood works. But I hope you all enjoyed. Please hit the like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.